Hello and welcome to Myra's Crafting Playground. My goodness, I have to practice that. Here we are, February 20th, and I'm very excited to share with you a new tool that Stampin' Up! Has made available to new demonstrators signing up during the month of February. It's called the Stampin' Positioner. Excuse me while I just reach over and grab it. Here it is in the box, brand spanking new. So what you get is you get a box with product that's stuck in the box. Okay, hold on just a second. There we go. Okay, so the product comes like this. Oh, you can see that mine has been used. I have some tape on there, and I'll explain why that's on there. But this is the Stampin' Positioner, and unlike the Stamparatus, it's a little bit different in that these two pieces come apart. The base or the plate fits on these two knobs, which depress, okay, on both sides. So when you have the plate on there, you would have your stamp on the underside of the plate, and you could depress the plate to stamp your perfect image. And if for some reason it's not perfect, you would remove this, re-ink your stamp, replace it on the positioner where your card remains on the base platform, depress it again to get a better image. So I'm going to bring you down to the craft table while I keep talking so that you can see a little bit better what's going on down on my table. How does that work? Yes, I'm at my dining room table this time instead of my desk, so the around me is a little bit different. I have a paper pumpkin kit going on here. That's this month's paper pumpkin, so I'll just move that aside so that I can show you all the wonderful goodness here. Okay, so there is my Stampin' Positioner. It does come with instructions on how to use it. I can tell you that so far I've managed 5 different techniques with this, but let's finish looking at it. So we have our plate, our base. There's grid paper. This is extra, and it fits on these little nubbies on top. I've actually taped it down, and the reason for that is I found if I use the grid paper and I stamp down, sometimes my stamp would connect and lift everything up. So I chose to put this tape down. It's with temporary tape, so it doesn't matter. It does come with 2 magnets that have these little tails. If you put them this way, the tails are flat, but if you put them this way, they stick up just a bit. Again, they're not encumbering to the use of the platform. So you can keep things in place with magnets, with some temporary tape, whatever works best for you. Another feature of this is that it also comes with this sort of, if you want, mini plate, which can be used for different techniques as well. And it functions the same way, and you're able to move this along if you want some sort of continuous pattern or repeating pattern or tiling, as it's sometimes called. So let me give you an idea of how this can work. So I have some samples here. So as I mentioned, the tiling. So I had done this one, and as you can see, it is not a perfect stamp. And that's because when I put my paper down, it hopped, my paper moved, I didn't reposition it, and so I ended up with a double stamp. So that's not the result you want. So to get around that, and maybe I should just show you, to get around that, I knew it felt like 2. So there's a triangle up here in the top of the page, in the top of the base. And if you fit your card in that triangle, which I know it gives you an angle of the paper, but it is just a way to ensure that you have perfect stamping every time if you position it so that it's in the triangle. And then let me get a stamp for you. I just happen to have trusty tools here, and I'm sure you'll see why as we move forward, because I have a sample with this stamp set. So I've got some extra pieces cut out in there that I don't want to lose. And we'll just put that aside. So for some silly reason, let's just go that I want to point my paintbrush into the center of the page. And I'm wondering if maybe I just want to go like that. So I'm actually just using the base of the stamp. So Stampin' Up! Faces me. That way I know which way it goes. I like to put it on the pegs first and then drop it down. And that way I know it's in the right spot. Then I'm going to press this down to grab my stamp. Now, that didn't work well because I was showing you about the pegs and everything moved. So let's get that back into place. So that's in place. There we go. Okay, and I'm going to grab that stamp right away. Now, you see how it's stuck there a bit? So I'm just going to check my position with my triangle and make sure I'm happy with it, because I'm going to show you something. So I'm going to add just some black Memento ink to this. And if you get any ink, like when you're stamping like that on the pad, and if you get any ink around the area, don't be worried about that, because it will not depress onto your image, because the width of the stamp will prevent it from stamping. So there's my brush, and just there's a technique called where we're just rotating the page to get the same image, so you can make arches or wreaths or different sort of, you know, continuous stamping. So if I wanted to do like a Father's Day card, or Color My World, a love card, or something like that, I now have two brushes. So just as a note, see how that's not perfect? Let's do that again, and let's see if we can prove the point that we get a perfect image every time. So I'm going to realign that in my triangle. I'm going to pop my plate down, and I'm going to give it another depression. Oh, well, I must have shifted. Well, I must have shifted. Had I not removed my paper, I probably would have had better luck, but I might not have pushed it in quite enough, and I ended up with doubles. So let's try that again. Let's just try that again. There we go. I'm going to say I did have better luck with another image, but I could still use that. I'm not too worried about that, but I agree it's not exactly perfect. But the idea of rotating this, it gives me perfect placement in each corner, exactly the same of this stamp. Now here's another one that I did. Unfortunately, I got some ink on it. But the stamp that I used was actually probably too big for this arrangement. So I did have an overlap here and an overlap there. But I'm thinking the proper placement of a gemstone and my greeting inside here, and maybe even rounding the corners, like I could still work with this piece to get a beautiful card. I could color in some of the roses and leaves, and yeah, just where the overlap is, kind of put something on top there, whether it's ribbon or anything, and I could get a beautiful design. Here's another one where I used the rotating, and I used a smaller image, and you can see that that's kind of more perfect, if you will. But that was the same thing, using the triangle, perfect placement, rotating my card base as I just went around and stamped the image. So that's one technique. Then I used a background stamp. Now for this I did have a piece of tape behind here that I sort of placed in my Stampin' positioner, and when I had my base plate on top and I was able to press down and get full coverage. When we have the acrylic blocks that are so big, I don't know about you, but my little hands, it just didn't work that well for me, and sometimes I would get an uneven stamp, and with an acrylic block it's one and done. So this I was able to press evenly, and as you can see I got another, oh, that's where I had my tape on the back, so I can remove that now. I got a perfect image. And this one is one of our retired hardwood stamps. So after I stamped it, I stamped it in early espresso, I added some pecan pie, and now I have a lovely background piece that I could use on any of my cards. So using this for a background stamp just gives you that full surface area that you can push on. You're not trying to hold a stamp and push. It's just worrying about making the good impression and not worrying about holding the block. So that's another technique. This here is two-step stamping. So for this one I did use the triangle as well to put my cardstock in, and I was doing a demonstration. So you can see on my first one it's not very well aligned, but that was my fault. That's because I did not align the stamp properly with the image. And so once I got it properly aligned, you can see my other stamps are beautifully filled. So as a matter of interest, whoops, sorry, I just nudged a puppy underneath the table. As a matter of interest, let's see if I can do this again, because that's what this is all about, the perfect image. So I have my stamp here. Okay, give me a little minute here while I fuss. I'm guessing that that's going to work for me. So for the middle, oh dear, where did I lose it? I had a second magnet. For the middle, I did not use, oh, that's so funny. I've misplaced one of my stamp magnets. Okay, out there, can you see it? Can you share with me? All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to really put that there, and I'm going to roll with it. I will have to look for my magnet after. Maybe it fell down on the floor. Okay, so I am going to grab my stamp, and I have take my pick tool here that I'm going to use to make sure that that doesn't rise up. It did, didn't it? It shifted. Well, let's just check that one more time. All right, I have a feeling it's not going to be perfect, but let's give it a shot. I'm going with Berry Burst, so we should have a good idea as to how this works out or not. So you can see the smears of the Berry Burst ink pad on my top panel. I'm not too concerned. I know that has shifted. All right, we're going for it. Ta-da! How do you like that? Yay! And that's, of course, because I can see perfectly through. And if I'm not happy with that, let's see if we can get a second coat. And all right, there you go. Perfect stamping every time. And obviously, that was not done at the same time. Okay, so I'm going to leave this to the side for a moment. So there you have the two-step stamping. So we've done backgrounds, two-step stamping, sort of a rotating design. Then the other thing that you can do with this panel is what they call repeat stamping. So here's an example of repeat stamping where I literally just took one stamp, and as I put it on here, my paper was in line here. So when the paper is on here, and let's say that's where I put it with my magnets, wherever the other one went off to. Oh my God, these little guys, they crawl. So when I have my paper, I would put, okay, that's not going to work well. I'm going to put that there. So there's my greeting. So I would put my stamp there, and I might even have it here. I'm not going to ink it up, but just so you can see how this works. I would put my stamp on here. Thought it wasn't working right. That's because it was upside down. That's too funny. All right, there we go. So I would put my, and there's two little holes here that fit on these pegs. And similar to the big panel, it just drops into place. You press it down, you pick up your image, and that's why I have the tape there. You pick up your image, you would ink it, stamp it, and then depending, you would just move one peg or two pegs, depending on the spacing that you would want between either your image or your verse. You stamp it again, you hop over a peg, stamp it again, and you keep going until, like I could have done one more happy birthday, but instead I opted for an alternate greeting to a fabulous friend. And here too, I can either die cut this to a different shape, or just mat it and use it on a card front. I can add some ink to it, some embellishments, and card done. So here's another one that I did, just in rainbow, to give you an idea how, the other thing that I like about this is that it's perfectly aligned every time. You're not guessing where it should start and stop. it's lined up beautifully. So that's called tiling or repeat stamping. So we have tiling and repeat stamping, we have our two-step stamps, we have our background stamps, we've got our rotating stamps, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So the last technique I'd like to show you is if you're a scrapbooker, I've taken this 12 by 12 piece of cardstock, and again using this piece, I was able to hop along with my stamp, and first I did the paintbrush, then I added the color, but I hopped along with my stamp as far as I could go. Then I shifted my cardstock to align with the image, so if I put it back here, the image would align under the appropriate paintbrush, and I could continue down my paper to the end. So I made this fabulous border. Again, Color My World, home renovations, I don't know, anything you could use paintbrush and multiple colors for. That was the thought pattern here. So it's just lovely to have the option that you could, you know, Christmas trees, ornaments, anything you want. Even if you just wanted to do letters and make a word title, you could space it exactly the way you wanted using this piece. So those are my 5 tips for using the stamping positioner. I hope you enjoyed that. And if you'd be interested in joining up with Stampin' Up, reach out to Myra's Crafting Playground at gmail.com, and I would love for you to join my team. Take care and have a great day.